Welcome back, everyone. This video is on subordinating conjunctions. So, using subordinating conjunctions to create complex sentences, we often will use subordinating conjunctions to connect the two clauses. The subordinating conjunction shows the relationship between the ideas in the clauses, so it gives you more information on the meaning of the sentence. There's two ways to create these complex sentences. We can either have the independent clause first, followed by the dependent clause, or if the dependent clause comes first, we want to make sure we use a comma and then introduce the independent clause. So let's look at some of our coordinating conjunctions. This is not a comprehensive list, but these are some of the most common subordinating conjunctions that we'll see and use. So after, although, as, because, before, even if, in case, once, since, unless, until, when, whenever, whether, and while. Many of these you probably use already in your everyday conversations. We just don't realize that we're using subordinating conjunctions. So if a dependent clause appears first in the sentence, we set it off with a comma. So we have our, because I left the movie early, it's a dependent clause. And the way we know it's a dependent clause is because it does have a subject and a verb, but it's not a complete thought. Because I left the movie early leaves a little room for wondering, why did you leave it earlier? What happened when you left the movie early? That's where our independent clause comes in. I didn't see the ending. And keep note here, our dependent clause appears first in the sentence, and then it's followed by a comma. Because I left the movie early, comma, I didn't see the ending. If the dependent clause appears after the independent clause, we don't need to use a comma. So for example, in the original sentence, before I left for work, comma, I ate breakfast. If the dependent clause comes after the independent clause, it will look like, I ate breakfast before I left for work. No comma there. Let's do some practice. The kickball tournament will be fun. The weather is good. We need to use a subordinating conjunction to combine these two sentences. A really great one for this sentence might be, the kickball tournament will be fun if the weather is good. That creates a dependent clause of if the weather is good. And it's dependent because it is not a complete thought anymore. So the sentence, the weather is good, is an independent clause. But when we add if to it, it becomes dependent. If the weather is good, what will happen? The kickball tournament will be fun. Notice here, the independent clause comes before the dependent clause, so there's no comma needed. Let's look at example number 2. I need to buy chips and salsa before I arrive at the party. Before is an example of a subordinating conjunction. So before I arrive at the party becomes a dependent clause. What needs to happen before you arrive at the party? I need to buy chips and salsa. So there's two ways that we could rewrite this sentence. First, we'll keep the independent clause first. I need to buy chips and salsa before I arrive at the party. Or we can reorder the dependent and independent clause and have the dependent clause come first. Before I arrive at the party, comma, I need to buy chips and salsa. And then one more. James is in medical school. James wants to be a doctor. What might be some good subordinating conjunctions to combine these two sentences? The one I chose is because. James is in medical school because he wants to be a doctor. And there are many more subordinating conjunctions. You just kind of have to get familiar with them as you keep practicing. So make sure to check out your Aztec. This is lesson 21. There are more examples within the Aztec lesson as well as in the practice homework that you can do on Aztec. And if you have questions, bring them in to me or Mr. Phillip, and we'll get those cleared up and we'll just keep on practicing. Y'all have a great day. Bye.